Hey everybody, it's Brian with Engadget. We are here at the Leap Motion booth with Michael Buchwald. This is exciting. I mean, this is a huge show for you. You guys were one of the big keynote presentations.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting show for us. We wanted to make our sort of first public appearance and have the first opportunity for people to come play with the device at a place where they could not just interact with it as a product, but also as an idea, which is really important for us.
Why was South by Southwest the show to do that out?
Well, there are a few reasons, but one obviously is that it intersects with a lot of the people that have been supporting Leap, a lot of people that have pre-ordered Leap. We've had thousands of people come by the experience, and I've been astonished at how many of them have already pre-ordered, and it's been great to see them get a chance to actually get their hands on it. The other is because one of the things we're most passionate about with the Leap is letting people use their computers to do more. And often that more involves things that are creative, like content creation. And a show like this that is very much about the intersection of technology and art is really interesting for that reason as well.
One of the surprising things to me about the adoption of this is the fact that obviously we're not really sure of the potential right now. You've shown off some demos. We were in the other room. We saw Fruit Ninja, but it seems like the full potential of the device has yet to be unlocked. So were you surprised that people jumped on it before they actually knew what the applications for it were?
I think that people very much want to see technology change the world in a tangible way, and I think that a lot of the reason people are so passionate about Leap is not just because the product is going to be amazing, even though it is. It's also because we are really trying to change the world. We're really trying to fundamentally change how people interact with computers, and I think that's something people are very passionate about. But to the other question, this is definitely just the tip of the iceberg, the things we're showing here. So we wanted to show things that people could, within 5 or 10 seconds, immediately get a hold of that show the speed and accuracy and so forth. But there are many thousands of developers that have units right now that are working on amazing applications that are going to be in Airspace, our app store, when we ship the units on May 13th.
Would you go so far as saying that the kind of traditional mouse and keyboard way of interacting with the computer is bad, is clunky, is it's not the best it could be?
The answer is it depends. The goal with Leap is not to replace the mouse and keyboard on May 13th. The reality is that there is a great deal of software that was built and optimized to work well with the mouse and keyboard, and a lot of it's 2D. And the mouse and keyboard are going to be a better way than Leap to fill out an Excel spreadsheet or something. But what we are passionate about are letting people do things that they either can't do at all or can't do well. And those are things that involve 3D, things that involve creating, things that may even be 2D and just be touch-like, but on a big screen not be working because touch doesn't scale to a bigger screen. So there are many ways the Leap can be very different, and it's essentially a really critical tool in a toolbox, but it's not intended to be the only input device.
How much do you actually see it transforming the way people interact with these, with their laptops, their PCs? Obviously, part of the reason why it's not an ideal input device for something like maybe navigating around a more traditional desktop is because that desktop was built around the mouse and keyboard. I mean, do you see this being a kind of a fundamental shift of just completely changing the way UIs are designed?
Yeah, I think one of the things that is most exciting for us is just looking into the future and seeing how this technology and technologies like it can influence form factors. Today, in order for something to be a computer, it essentially has to have a screen, it has to have a keyboard, and either a mouse or a touch component, and that's very, very limiting to form factors, because without those things, computers could look like almost anything. And we're really excited about different computer form factors, whether it's things like Google Glass or other form factors, and those are things that really can't exist with a keyboard or mouse. You're not going to strap a keyboard to your arm while you walk around with a head-mounted display. You need to find some way to interact with it in a more natural way.
We've seen you guys do a lot of demos. We saw some next door and on stage. It seems like most of what we're seeing out of this company from an application perspective is demos. Really, it's just ways of showing people what the hardware can do. And I'm wondering if you see the company either as a hardware/software company or moving into the development of that software, or are you really just kind of relying 100% on developers?
We very much see ourselves as a platform, so it's unlikely that we will build a significant amount of software to market directly to consumers. We are obviously building the OS interaction experience, where out of the box you take your leap and you can scroll and click and move the cursor. That experience we build, and in the future maybe we will see an opportunity to create a great demo or get developers' minds going in a certain direction, and we might do that. But we're very, very focused on creating the best platform possible because we understand that we can't think of everything, and that's the great thing about being a platform. We get to empower others, and they get to build amazing things. And we have some really great developers that are working on things for Leap, whether it's Autodesk with Maya or the 123D series, or on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, like a casual game from Disney or Zepto Labs.
What would you, at least before you moved on to things like embedded technologies, what would you like to see a developer out there create for this? What's something that you feel like you might not be in your capacity to actually design, but some kind of upstart could really use to bring this to its full fruition?
Well, one of the things that I'd really like to see is just a very, very interesting combination of professional content creation and casual content creation. So there are lots of demos that exist today using Leap that show off things like virtual pottery wheels and stuff that is great and does a great job speaking to the potential for the technology. And then lots of high-end applications like Autodesk with Maya for professionals who will use it many hours a day, every day. But what I think needs to happen is for those two things to merge together and for something that has enough power to be used to actually create things to exist, but for it to still be accessible.
Just sort of lowering the barrier of the ease of use on something like that.
Yeah, it's about lowering the barrier by making it more accessible and moving away from drop-down menus and keyboard shortcuts and moving in the direction of just letting people reach in with their hands and fingers and interact with it like the real world. But not necessarily lowering the usability, making it something that is potentially professional grade. Sort of like a lot of the Apple content creation software are things that 5-year-olds are just messing around with, but they are used by some professionals too. And it's a great way for someone to grow, and as they become more adept at the software, as they become more skilled themselves, they gradually grow up into an actual artist, an actual creator.
I certainly understand the appeal of being a new developer, being an app developer, not from a huge company, wanting to create something for this. It does seem like a big ask to, I don't know, approach Adobe or a company like that and really saying you've got to recreate the way you've been thinking of software all along. I mean, are you finding that big companies are also excited about the potential?
They definitely are. So we have many small developers, but we also have a significant number of very large developers, and they come in a couple of different forms. Some of them are people like Disney or Zepto Labs that are building apps that are going to be either free or low priced, and they're just betting on the success of the platform. They're betting that we've already sold hundreds of thousands of units, that we are going to sell millions, and that we're going to embed into devices that are being sold in the tens of millions. On the other side, you have things like Autodesk, and in those cases, I think what they're betting, in addition to the success of the product and the platform, they're essentially betting that if someone wants to use that particular functionality enough, then that alone is reason to buy Leap, because The Leap is $79.99, and if you're a professional CAD user and you use that program for many hours a day, if this is going to make you more productive, and we think it'll make you a lot more productive, it's worth the purchase alone.
It's funny that you know the device actually hasn't even quite come out yet, and you guys are already talking about embedded technology. You know, what seems like it could be fairly far off future. I'm wondering what kind of timeline we're actually looking at to move from what is essentially this little sort of box input device in front of your computer to something that you actually wear on your person.
So the first deals to embed the technology will probably have units in devices that are on retail shelves, either in Q4 of this year or Q1 of the following year. Yeah.
And what kind of potential are we talking about? You know, what sort of applications can this have in wearables?
Yeah. So when I talk about embedded, the first units will be laptops probably and desktops because the peripheral is very, very easy to
Embedded in devices.
Right. And the next step after that are probably things like tablets and phones, and then after that, probably things like head-mounted displays and whatever the great form factors of the future are.
So and again, you know, it's pretty clear how it can make the transition from a desktop to a laptop. You know, the input is probably pretty similar because the machines are pretty similar. If we're talking about a wearable, you know, and a set of glasses, how can it actually be used there?
Yeah. So if you embed the Leap technology in a wearable, which is pretty easy because really anywhere you can put a camera, you can put Leap, because Leap is very much software driven. So it is already possible to fit it in a form factor like Google Glass or other head-mounted displays. Basically, you can interact with that computer and that device by reaching out with your hands into your field of vision and just grabbing the things that you see. If it's an opaque device, then grabbing the things you see in there. If it's some sort of augmented reality display, grabbing the things that are being augmented onto reality.
I hate to say it, but Minority Report?
Well, Minority Report, but better in the sense that it would be portable and go with you, right?
The future is now.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Great.
Great.
Thanks.